Good evening.
Good evening. Ooh, it's a late episode.
It is. And we're like right in the midst of spooky season too. So
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yes, that's correct.
it's accurate. Thank
That's
you.
accurate. Yep.
Thanks for affirming. Yeah. And last week was OCD Awareness Week. And so happy OCD Awareness Week. That's a very weird thing to wish someone.
Well, happy advocating week.
Well, yeah, it's good to have awareness.
Yeah.
But I suppose it is a happy thing. It's better to not than to not be aware. I
Yeah.
was not aware for a long time. That was not happy.
No.
So I guess that's how one greets somebody during OCD Awareness Week or in the anyway. So
This is the haunted episode.
ooh, yeah. Well, our new topic today, I don't know that it's particularly like spooky, but here we
No.
are. We're going to be talking about sensorimotor OCD and sensorimotor obsessions in particular.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, where shall we begin on the sensorimotor front?
Well, I guess we can just do, the wide sweeping definition.
Yeah.
So when we think of sensorimotor, we think of somebody who is obsessed with or hyper focused on these more benign bodily sensations or movements or aspects of our body. So typically it might be things like eye floaters, tinnitus, blinking, swallowing, like that you have a tongue in your mouth, like really,
Oh, I hate it when that one happens.
or like
Yeah.
noticing your ears, or like itching, like an itch that is not really necessarily there. But anyways, that's, I think, the gist of that. But it does dovetail into others quite nicely.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, as well, it dovetails into other anxiety disorders, I think.
Yeah.
Things like panic disorder, where people are fixated on their physiological sensations and what they mean, right? So there's like, you can see where there's a lot of overlap between this and panic and health anxiety, which of course we've already covered.
Right.
But it sounded like too that you were thinking of it dovetailing into other OCD subtypes. I'm curious on that front if there's anything I missed.
Well, health anxiety, I was going to say, is like typically when we treat folks with sensorimotor, it tends to be that people fall into kind of two categories. In my experience, I mean, there's all these, there's not one particular, everyone is susceptible to anything we haven't even thought of in this moment. But point is that it can fall into like this health anxiety. It's the judgment, right? Like, okay, what does it mean that I'm constantly swallowing? Does it mean that I'm sick and there's something wrong with me? And then it turns into like, oh, maybe I have throat cancer, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or the other side of it is, will I ever stop obsessing about this, right? Like, am I always going to be aware of my swallowing? Is this always going to be a thing? And it's almost this obsessing on obsessing, right? Like I'm obsessed with the fact that it exists in my life.
Yeah.
And that hyper focus on it.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting too, we can sort of frame it as a type of contamination, that second variant, because what we're talking about is the sort of the sense that your experience is being contaminated by this awareness. I think one of the things that people often misunderstand, like people with this sort of iteration of OCD misunderstand, is they think that the awareness itself is the obsession.
Yes.
And so they're like, but to see that it's actually oftentimes the trigger, right? Like it's the thing that triggers them. And if we were to look at an obsessive thought or concern that accompanies that experience, it's going to last forever. It's going to ruin my life. I'm never going to be able to think of anything else.
Right.
and those sorts of, right. So, and yeah.
Yeah. And then, treating people with, obsessing on obsessing, it's very similar in that respect, is like, oh, the fact that I have an intrusive thought doesn't necessarily, like, the content doesn't bother them, but the fact that it exists
Yep.
regularly bothers them. And that means it's interrupting. Therefore, it's a problem because it interrupts my ability to enjoy life.
Exactly. Which in theory, yes. Right. In theory, like all other things being equal, life might be more enjoyable if it weren't for the awareness.
Absolutely.
And I think what's interesting, and I feel like I referenced this article a whole lot, but Jonathan Grayson's article on um, about obsessing, right? Where he talks about the fact that we don't, when we're comparing reality with some sort of fantasy like that, we don't include issues in the fantasy, which there are usually always some sort of
Always.
issues.
Right.
So it's really an unfair comparison. And the
Mhm.
other piece is it's irrelevant because you are aware. And what we know is that trying to make yourself unaware has the opposite effect and makes you more intently focused on it. And so, and I'm jumping ahead to like how we support people with it, of
Well,
course. But so
that's
yeah,
natural progression there.
yeah. I actually I want to bring this up because one of our listeners is just asked a question. Is it usual for someone to feel that due to depersonalization, derealization, and anxiety, their language and verbal skills have become impaired? It seems that words and phrases do not stick. Um, so I don't know. Like maybe we can talk a little bit about, because I think actually it's another way in which this dovetails with other
It
diagnoses,
does.
right? But like
Yeah.
that when
Yes.
we talk about depersonalization, derealization disorder as well, like and the concerns related to that experience and the sort of sense of hyper awareness of your space in the universe and like where you're at.
Well, even
Um,
dissociating, right? Like everyone dissociates at different levels throughout the day.
yeah,
I've certainly treated a lot of people with that obsession around, not a lot, but a handful. Like I like the dissociation obsession, right? Is
yeah,
like that's a bodily experience.
yeah,
And we can either become hyper fixated on it
yeah,
or just allow it to be.
yep, absolutely.
Sorry, I didn't mean
So
to interrupt. Go ahead.
not at all. No, I think that that's exactly kind of where I was headed. And I think sometimes within that, and obviously, this is not therapy or a replacement for therapy, but understanding that there are times when somebody is so fixated on the sensation or the experience in this case of derealization or depersonalization that they that if they become sort of blank in a moment that they start to worry about that as well, like all of a sudden which funny enough, this happens to me probably 10 times a day, where I'm just in the middle of saying something and it's like
Gone.
gone. Right. So
Bye.
i I think that understanding that anxiety, yes, generally can play a role in terms of the response to having spaced out on a word or forgotten something.
Yeah. And then the more you think about it, the harder time you're going to have to find the language you're looking for, right? Instead
Yep.
of just saying, all right, that just happened. Let's move on.
Yep.
Maybe somebody with social anxiety judges that as, oh my gosh, this is death, like social death. Everybody's judging me. I've certainly had that thought
Oh, yes.
many of times.
Well,
But it's
yeah. I mean, even on the podcast,
oh,
right?
that's where it happens the most. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the most real experience ever.
For
And
real.
as time has gone on, exposure wise, I find myself a little more comfortable, every time.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I also think that in relation to this, the sort of tip of the tongue phenomena, like when you're like so frustrated that you can't quite grasp a
Yeah.
word and you're reaching for it and reaching for it, and recognizing where the sort of common wisdom around this is that you just kind of accept it and you move on. And then oftentimes it will pop into your mind, right? So I think understanding that when we relinquish the
Yeah.
trying
Let
to do
go.
things perfectly, that it gives us this, and genuinely, not with the aim of making this happen, right? That
Absolutely.
sometimes a side effect is that, oh, right, that train of thought that I totally missed is now is now back. And I think that the social anxiety point is a good one, because you can kind of see where if you're thinking, oh my gosh, well, what is everyone thinking about me? I can't think of the word. What's wrong with me? That's going to make it a lot more difficult to actually access where you were
Yeah.
cognitively when your sort of awareness lapsed. So anyway, I think it's a great question that our listener brought up. So thanks for bringing that to the table.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So any other common ones that you've seen in terms of variants of obsessions in the body?
You know, I think that you covered most, I think all of the ones that are typical. You said swallowing, right?
Swallowing,
Yeah.
blinking,
Yeah.
tinnitus,
Feeling of tongue in mouth,
just
the
being like
nose.
the nose, the hands,
So yeah, like
anything literally on your body is up for grabs. Is that internally or externally?
it's a free for
Fingers.
all, man.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I don't know, and I maybe might have thought of this earlier, but I didn't. Is that oftentimes we lump these together with like hyper awareness
Yeah,
obsessions more
definitely.
generally, and we perhaps will do a whole other sub-series on that, because there are things that are in our external environment
Mhm.
that are, I mean, obviously your nose is, I guess, in theory in your external environment, but it is about, I don't know, whatever,
Your body,
your
person.
body, your
Yeah.
person, your human.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so anyway, we can certainly go over at some later stage general hyperawareness obsessions, where people are troubled or distressed by the fact that they have perpetual awareness of like a song in their head, or a phrase, or a picture, even if the image or the phrase is not particularly inherently distressing. And then,
Yeah, that's yes, exactly. Well said.
well, thank you. But yeah, any other things that you can think of? I mean, one of the, actually, before I throw it back to you, one of the things that I think is also useful to note is that hyper awareness of swallowing, and also could happen in theory of like digestive like experiences, internal cues related or sensory experiences related to digestion, is that can also be where OCD and eating disorders can intersect. And we see especially the fear of swallowing relates to the fear of choking,
Oh yeah.
can relate to the like in the nausea can relate to the fear of vomiting, or like any sort of movement in the intestines, what have you. So we see that a lot in things like ARFID, which
Mhm.
is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, also emetophobia, which those two things share a lot of commonalities as well.
Yep. Great point.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to the bigger idea here is that sometimes we're just splitting hairs, like at the end of the day, we are treating it very similarly. It helps give context, I guess, to folks, and validation, right? But this does usually split into a lot of other variations and will evolve, right, into different things. It's not usually perfectly put in this box of like, oh yes, I have sensory motor and that's it.
That's it.
That's
Done.
it. It's all.
But if somebody's watching and that's their primary
I know.
one
Yeah.
and they haven't Because you know,
Yeah,
you
there is.
know,
We're gonna
yeah, of
hear the
course.
one
Yeah.
person. Oh, excuse me, ma'am.
No, that's the
Actually,
only thing I've ever obsessed over, which look, I get it. And it does happen. Like, and perhaps you just haven't gotten to the point of your life where this is where you've had more than one. My,
that's the scare of the
that
week.
is the scare of the week. Here
Yeah.
is your
Here's a trigger.
wizened elder over here, like,
Yeah.
telling you about the tale of how you can get other obsessions too. But
Well,
that's okay.
but I think that that's kind of the root of that obsession anyways,
Yeah.
is I'm hyper aware, will this ever go away? Am I ever going to stop thinking about it? It really opens the door
Yeah.
to so many possibilities.
You know what's really interesting though about this, and obviously, I have this very vested interest. Like I love, well, and you do too. I don't love, it's a love-hate thing. I'm fascinated by mental behaviors and mental compulsions in particular. And the interesting thing is, am I going to think about this forever? Is oftentimes the fear. And then people respond by trying to think their way out of it, which, I mean, the logic of OCD is so often flawed, but I want, like, think about that. How can the and I actually think this goes to other themes as well, but how can the resolution to the issue of thinking about something forever be thinking more about it?
Well, I can tell you, I sometimes find myself trying to
Oh,
think.
please.
I'm like, wait, hold on a second. We're not doing this. Right.
Right. Completely.
Right.
But
Is
I
like,
just think that
allow. It's so ironic and
it is, and I think
counter.
having that awareness in those moments really can help. And just be like, "Oh, look, I'm addressing my issue with thinking too much with thinking more. Maybe I don't want to do that."
Yeah.
Seems sus, you know?
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, anything what the other thing that I'm curious about, and to be honest, don't know a ton about it. We need to find somebody who is in this realm, but my understanding is that with chronic pain, oftentimes an acceptance based model is very useful as well, and learning how to be aware without resisting, which, yeah, spoiler alert, that is where we're going with this, is learning how to tolerate thoughts and awareness and feelings and all of it, just as with every other subtype.
Mhm.
But it is interesting that to recognize that there are some similarities, in at least to my limited knowledge, and how we navigate the awareness of neutral physical sensations that are not inherently unpleasant, and how we navigate or help people to navigate pain, like chronic pain that has no clear organic cause and that can't be eliminated. That the work is oftentimes, again, to my limited knowledge, similar.
It is. I would agree with that
Yeah.
for sure. There's a lot of acceptance in that. And I think it also plays into like the anticipation of it, right? Like, this sensation tends to lead to this. So
Mhm.
how can I get ahead of it? How can I think
Mm.
instead of problem solving or coping? It's like, oh, right.
Yeah. Hard to cope and problem solve with something that's not a problem and that can't be solved.
Yeah. Yeah. It, yeah. This one can be tricky in its own way, right? Like they all have their caveats, and this one is
Yeah. One thing I will say about, like,
always
sort of
with you. Blinking is always with you.
it's always with
And
you.
breathing, breath too. Like
Yeah,
the
oh,
breathing
yeah.
is a big one. Feeling the air through your nose, through, all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think in a past episode some time ago, I mentioned that, like, or maybe it was you who mentioned it, but, like, sometimes you just realize your tongue is, like you were saying it earlier today, like, it's usually when you're falling asleep. It's like, "Oh,
Yeah, me
wow."
swallowing. It's swallowing for sure.
Oh, well, of course.
Right before bed.
Yep, yep. And, It's like, oh wow, my tongue is resting against the back of my teeth. Is it supposed to be doing that?
I haven't had that one yet.
Well,
it's more like there's extra saliva, and I'm
well,
like
of course.
having like
And I need to manage that.
I have to just deal with this now. I'll be dealing with this for the next 10 hours trying to sleep.
Forget that my body has figured out how to deal with this since my beginning, like my very inception. Like I now have to deal with this. Like I'm in charge. Like I'm in
charge of swallowing.
I got to figure it out, man.
It's not an automatic thing.
Except for it is.
It is. Right.
Know?
It is.
But one of the other tricky things that I think is important to point out is that, and not that this only comes up in this particular subtype, but the awareness that you're not thinking about it, right? Oftentimes will re-trigger the thoughts about it. And then a lot of resistance too, and a lot of sense. Oh, like it's not supposed to be like this. I was perfectly happy and
just doing all the things.
Just living my best life, and there's my tongue again. What is that thing doing there?
Such an uninvited guest.
I mean, it's not uninvited. I do need my tongue, I think, in order to like function. Speak, yeah. Eat, probably, at least somewhat. I don't know.
Yeah. It's always with you, which is kind of why it makes it a great exposure too. And also a tricky one.
Yeah, and obviously, a lot of the work that we do, as we'll talk about with people struggling with this particular set of obsessions, is actually in the response prevention. Yep. I mean, that's true across the board, but I think particularly so with this, because there's not really much you can do to avoid it.
Yeah.
You can try, you can like grit your teeth and clench your fists and tighten up, but it's not going to do anything.
Yeah. It's all acceptance work. It's all of that.
Yeah. Although, nod to that Jonathan Grayson article again.
Great article.
It's a great article, man. What are you going to do, man? So Dr. Grayson talks about the use of those dots, the sticky dots, right? As a form of like, oh, don't forget, right? Don't forget to have an obsession. Don't forget, right?
Don't forget to swallow.
Don't forget to swallow. Don't forget that you're currently viewing your own nose, like right this second. Don't forget.
Yeah.
And that, so that you then have the ability to work through having that reminder, right? Instead of just having to do it on the fly when it comes up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm now noticing my nose and just talking about it.
Same. I'm currently watching you over my nose.
It's fun.
It's so good.
It's really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other, like thoughts on the obsessions in this realm?
I don't think so. I think I'm sure there's a lot we missed because OCD is very creative and
very,
right.
Yeah.
But the big picture is an obsession with bodily movements, sensations that are usually just like naturally happening anyways, that are autonomic, and we don't have to necessarily interrupt that process.
No,
just
we don't need to do anything. Yeah. Kind of like with all emotions as well.
Yeah.
The only other thing that might deserve a nod, and if you have any thoughts on this, and we've kind of covered it, but I don't know that we've spoken explicitly to it, is that these types of obsessions are often referred to as neutral. And I think people often bristle at that.
Yeah.
Because it's not experienced as neutral.
Right. Or benign.
Right. Or benign.
I even used that at the beginning. I said benign.
I think I used neutral. So it's worth mentioning. If you have any particular thoughts on that.
Well, I think that the language that we're using is more that it's not harming you actively.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, and that it's not like inherently offensive, right? Like I think most people would agree that like images of, murdering your family are probably unpleasant, right? Like if we took a vote, I think most people would vote that, yes, that's unpleasant. If we,
Well, and it's just go ahead.
but if we took a vote of like, is the image of the side of your nose inherently offensive? I don't think that most people would be like, yes, it's offensive, right? Like, unless maybe you have OCD or body dysmorphia or something, you know what I mean? Like,
Right, true.
so understanding that what we're talking about is really the stimulus itself, and whether or not like people would communally agree that it's upsetting.
Yeah, right.
Not whether or not it's upsetting to you.
Correct. Right.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to part 2 in 2 weeks' time in November. What?
Yeah, it's getting near the end. This is the end.
It's so dark. Wow, we really like this
Halloween.
nighttime madness.
Yeah, this is what happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck, everyone
Good
out
night and good
there.
luck.
Good night and good luck. I hope you have a lovely couple weeks, and we will look forward to seeing you for